My name is Ernisha Murugan. My metric number 29978. This presentation about a study of corporate governance index and determinants of General Electric Company in UAE. General Electric GE has played a vital role in UAE's economies and technologies development for over 8 decades, with its regional headquarters in Dubai. The company has significantly contributed to sectors like oil and gas, healthcare, aviation, and commercial finance while fostering long-term partnerships and developing infrastructure. GE's impact is evident in landmark projects such as providing power generation equipment and roadway lighting in Abu Dhabi, as well as creating jobs and enhancing local workforce skills. Recent innovations like the 2020 MXL2 gas turbine upgrade highlight GE's commitment to sustainable and advanced solutions for the UAE progress. About the problem statement of GE Company, in 2020 General Electric settled with the US SEC for $200 million due to misleading accounting practices. The SEC found that GE misrepresented its financial health by overstating profits from cost reductions and hiding risks in its insurance business, particularly future liabilities. The settlement highlighted concern over GE's corporate governance, including its long-standing relationship with auditor KPMG, which raised questions about independence and potential conflicts of interest. This action violated principles of accountability, transparency, independence, and fairness in corporate governance. Three types of research objectives for this study case. Number 1, to ascertain the internal or firm-specific factors that could have influence on General Electric's performance. Number 2, to identify the external or microeconomic factors that could have influence on General Electric's performance. And number 3, to investigate the internal and external factors that could have influence on General Electric's performance. Performing a relevant literature review for this study is the focus of this chapter. It comprises two components, internal and external factors, mainly focusing on the context of corporate governance, performance, liquidity risk, credit risks, operational risks, and market risks. In this presentation, I've included corporate governance, performance, and operational risks. Corporate governance, referring to the Cadbury Committee 1992, is defined as follows: the system through which companies are directed and controlled. Mohonin 2020. Basically, corporate governance is a set of rules, process, and practices that regulate and control a business. Chen 2021. Chen 2021 defined a corporate governance as a set of rules, processes, and practices that are applied in corporation to ensure such business corporations are run smoothly. It is essential to corporate governance for investors since it displays a commercial enterprise integrity and strategy direction. Business that practice effective corporate governance are able to gain the trust of investors and the general public. Performance. Profitability is the relationship between revenue and expenditure, the business's current performance, and the company's potential future development, and how the company manages its working capital. Moshik 2020. For a company, the primary goal is to maximize revenue, profits, and assets while considering the needs of its shareholders. All company endeavors begin with the main aim of profitability. Johans 2019. A corporation that does not generate profits will ultimately go out of business. Thereby, a corporation needs to assess its past, present profitability, but at the same time, the corporation also needs to forecast future profitability too. After the operational risk, Redja and McNamara 2017 P24 stated that operational risk arise from the firm's business operations. For example, if hackers get access to the bank's computer, a bank that provides online banking services may suffer damage. Operational risk may alternatively be defined as a subset of unsystematic risk that is peculiar to a specific business or sector. Segal 2020. Operational risk is concerned with how a company operates, not what is produced or inherent in an industry. While there is no assurance that the risk will result in failure, decreased output, or increased total cost, they are seen to be greater or lesser based on different internal management decision making. Research methodology refers to the methods used to conduct the research. Additionally, this section will cover sampling techniques, statistical techniques, and data analysis, of all of which will be carried out using the Statistical Package of Social Science (SPSS) version 26. The study focuses on General Electric as a representative sample of the UAE manufacturing industry, using data from its annual reports between 2013 and 2023. The dependent variable is the Corporate Governance Index (CG Index), while the independent variables include internal, external, and combined factors affecting GE's performance. Based on the values of the independent variables, a dependent variable's value may be determined using multiply regression analysis. For this investigation, data from the annual report were analyzed using the IBM SPS Statistic version 26. Regression analysis is often used for evaluating the independent variables' impact on the independent variables. The independent variable's effects on the study-dependent variable may be shown using the above regression approach. The table presents descriptive statistics for 12 observations on financial and economic activities. Key findings include a mean corporate governance (CG) index of 81 with little variation, indicating consistent value across entities, while profitability measures like ROA and ROE show high variability. The current ratio suggests adequate liquidity, and the average collection period is 127 days. The debt-to-income ratio is negative mean, possibly due to data errors or accounting practices. The correlation matrix reveals how various financial and economic indicators relate to each other, with coefficients ranging from -1 to 1, where values closer to 1 or -1 indicating stronger relationships. For example, a correlation of 0.8 between the corporate governance (CG) index and ROA shows a strong positive relationship, meaning an increase in the CG index is typically associated with higher ROA. A correlation of -0.5 between inflation and unemployment suggests a moderate negative relationship, where higher inflation is linked to lower unemployment. These are the three model summary of this study case, which is internal, external, and combine of internal and external. For model 1, the internal model's regression analysis predicts the corporate governance CG index using internal financial variables like operating margin, operating ratio, average collection period, and debt to income ratio. With an R-square value of 0.755, the model explains 75.5% of the variance in the CG index. The low standard error in Durbin-Watson statistics suggests a good model fit with no significant autocorrelation in the residuals. After that, the external model's regression analysis predicts the CG index using internal financial variables such as operating margin, operating ratio, average collection period, and debt to income ratio. With an R-square of values of 0.755, it explains 75.5% of the variance in the CG index. The model shows its good fit as indicated by a low standard error and Durbin-Watson statistic with no significant autocorrelation in the residuals. And model 3, the analysis of regression results of both internal and external factors of CG index is presented in this section. The model shows an exceptionally good fit, R2 equals to 1.000, which means that 100% of the variance in the CG index could be accounted for by the predictors. Of course, perfect fit can rarely be achieved in real life. So, in our table 1, the SIG value is 0.071. This value is above the typical alpha level of 0.05. For the ANOVA table 2, the SIG value is 0.038. This value is below the typical alpha level of 0.05. And for the ANOVA table 3, the SIG value is 0.074. This value is above the typical alpha level of 0.05. So, model 2 is the only statistically significant model. This suggests that the set of predictors in table 2 constant IP, GDP, interest, fixed rate versus USD, unemployment, and inflation are collectively associated with the variation in CG index. Model 1 and 3 are not statistically significant indicators. Now we are moving to coefficients. Coefficient 1. This section outlines the estimated coefficients of internal financial predictors used in the regression model to predict the CG index, such as the current ratio, ACP, debt to income, operating ratio, and operating margin. Each coefficient reflects how a 1 unit change in predictor influences the CG index with all other predictors controlled. For example, a 1 unit increase in the current ratio results in an average increase of 1.421 in the CG index. The table also includes statistical significance stats, t-statistic p-values, and confidence intervals to assess the reliability of these relationships, helping reform decisions based on the internal financial factor affecting the CG index. For the next coefficients, this table presents the estimated parameters for external predictors including inflation, interest rates, exchange rates versus USD unemployment, and GDP used in the regression model to predict the CG index. A 1 unit change in any predictor while keeping others constant leads to a corresponding change in the CG index as indicated by the coefficient's value. For example, a 1 unit increase in inflation will raise the CG index by 43.867 units. The table also includes t-statistic p-value and confidence intervals to assess the reliability and range of these relationships, helping inform decisions based on the influence of external economic factors on the CG index. For the table 3, this table presents the estimated coefficients for internal and external predictor in the regression model for the corporate governance CG index. Internal factors include the current ratio ACP, debt to ratio, operating ratio, and operating margin, while external factors include inflation, interest rates, exchange rates, unemployment, and GDP. Each coefficient shows how a 1 unit change in a predictor impacts the CG index, with statistical stats, t-statistic p-value, and confidence interval evaluating the reliability of this relationship. This helps assess the influence of financial economic factor on the CG index for informed decision making. In conclusion, this study evaluates the Corporate Governance Index CG Index of General Electric GE in the UAE manufacturing sector, focusing on internal and external factors influencing its performance. The study used 3 regression models, internal, external, and combined variables, finding that internal and external factors had the strongest impact. The factors like the current ratio, operating ratio, and interest rate significantly in influencing GE's performance. However, the study is limited by using only GE as a sample, relying on data from its annual report from 2013 to 2022, and limited time for data collection. And recommendation for GE company: it is recommended that General Electric GE enhance its operational risk management by improving risk identification and using a comprehensive risk assessment methodology. This should include regular risk reviews, a strong risk-aware culture, effective use of technologies, and key risk indicators (KRIS) in a robust reporting framework. Emerging risks like cyber threats and climate change require proactive management. Additionally, integrating risk management with GE's strategic objectives and decision-making processes will help ensure its contribution to the company's overall success.